In the Quad Cities, before the 1930s, traffic was often backed up for blocks. The only way to cross the Mississippi River between Moline, Illinois and Bettendorf, Iowa was by boat. Those who were daring enough attempted to cross on the ice during winter months. These cities needed something to connect each other, something that could help with the traffic problem, something that would alleviate the hassle of traveling, and something that would connect these cities. The obvious solution was to build a bridge so efficient that it would clear away traffic, a bridge that would also shorten the distance across the river. This bridge was finally built after 25 years of failures within the cities that it connects. After it was successfully finished, the bridge was formally named the Iowa-Illinois Memorial Bridge. The bridge would soon become a great mode of travel and become a beloved icon of both Iowa and Illinois. Shortening the distance between Bettendorf and Moline, this bridge is definitely a successful accomplishment. But great accomplishments don't come around without a great number of failures. The Iowa-Illinois Memorial Bridge, the debates that connected two cities and two states. The planning of this bridge started with a revolutionary idea. In 1906, William P. Bettendorf, founder of the city Bettendorf, dreamed of connecting his city to the city of Moline under the General Bridge Act of 1906, making the Tri-Cities the Quad Cities. This federal act enabled private citizens to construct bridges as business ventures. For William Bettendorf, the bridge remained a dream. It wasn't until May 26, 1928, with the Public Law 533, that the 70th Congress granted the entrepreneurs, including Joseph W. Bettendorf, relative of William Bettendorf, and Moline Mayor Charles Skinner, a franchise to build a bridge from Bettendorf to Moline as a commercial enterprise. This law allowed the entrepreneurs the right to charge tolls, condemn property on both sides of the river as needed, and to assign the franchise to another state or government authority. This bill was acted on when the stock market crashed in 1929. The entrepreneurs needed to offer the franchise to Moline. However, they refused. They then asked the city of Davenport, Iowa, who accepted. On May 19, 1931, the Davenport Bridge Commission was appointed the franchise and assignment of building this new bridge from Bettendorf and Moline. Before construction for the bridge could begin, it needed a legal mandate for its existence. The commission needed to convince the Iowa legislature to create a law that would allow a city of Iowa to construct a bridge connecting two states, a bridge that at no point touched that own city's soil. The 43rd Iowa General Assembly made that possible. This new law meant that the mayor of Davenport would be an ex officio or president member of the Davenport Bridge Commission. Moline had always been against the building of this bridge. If this bridge was built and was a failure, Moline would suffer great losses and many buildings would be destroyed. If it was successful, Moline would have made the right choice. It was a 50-50 chance. However, after much persuasion, the Moline City Council approved the bridge on October 2, 1933, but with one condition. The commission had to pay for some street improvements for Moline's side of the bridge approach. The construction of the Iowa-Illinois Memorial Bridge began in June 1934 and used 500 laborers from the Great Depression. There was some debate on whether to build starting on one side or build from both ends and meet in the middle. They decided to build the bridge from both sides of the river. The bridge suspension engineering was so delicate that the workers were allowed only a 1/8 inch margin of error at the center meeting point. If the error was more, the structures on both ends would not distribute right and would then collapse. The Tri-Cities watched for months as a steel skeleton rose hundreds of feet above the river, wrapped inside a conglomeration of wooden planks, steel mesh, and workers. These workers were to follow the bridge design by Modesky, Masters & Case, who designed the bridge and helped construct it. After this bridge was finished, the length was to be approximately 6,000 feet. The bridge was open to traffic on November 18, 1935 as a revenue bond project paid by the Davenport Bridge Commission. On the opening day, the governors of Iowa and Illinois came from their sides of the river to shake hands in the middle of this perfect structure, awestruck that no Moline police were there to block their ways, since Moline had been so against the bridge. The span cost the commission $1.45 million. They in turn charged tolls to pay back all the debts. This bridge was supposed to solve all traffic problems, but when it was clear that it didn't, plans were made for a new twin bridge to be constructed right next to the original bridge. In September 1952, Modesky and Masters sent a report to the Davenport Bridge Commission with their recommendations for the improvement of the bridge and plans for a twin. They proposed a bridge be built parallel to the original structure. The amendment that allowed this is Public Law 566. The 82nd Congress approved on July 16, 1952. This law granted authority to improve the bridge and enlarge it. Before the final design and location of the bridge could be finalized, the commission had to persuade many citizens that another bridge was necessary. In 1957, Bettendorf fought the Iowa General Assembly for a veto power over the location of the second span but failed. Some negotiations were needed to convince Bettendorf to agree to a plan that would clear out dozens of historical buildings, some dating before the city was founded, but in order for another span to be built, this consequence needed to occur. After this debate was settled between Bettendorf and the Davenport Bridge Commission, Bettendorf sold City Hall for $94,000. They also condemned all property in the second span's path. Now that Bettendorf was ready for the new bridge, Moline needed to be willing as well. Just like Bettendorf, a large swath of Moline would be wiped out. Moline debated against the commission just like Bettendorf had. They then decided if the bridge were to be built, they wanted streets improved and widened. This debate went to a federal judge in the U.S. District Court. The judge ruled that the 70th Congress gave the commission the right to condemn Moline's property back in 1928. This meant that Moline and Illinois could not block any plans. Moline appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals but lost once again. The jury then had Davenport pay Moline $39,000 for streets. These debates caused a 2-year delay of construction to occur. The second span was planned to be west of the first one between June 1958 and December 1959. The cost was estimated to be $6,182,402. This was 2 times the amount as the first. Construction for this bridge began on July 1, 1958. Both were officially and successfully opened on January 20, 1960. Prayers were given. Walter Reed of the Davenport Bridge Commission gave an address, and governors of Iowa and Illinois were present. For that day only, the bridges were closed to cars and pedestrians were free to walk across. These 2 completed bridges aren't identical. They are built almost 25 years apart and are connected in the middle, forming one bridge. They are also built to fit the road specifications of their times. A failure of these spans would be the undoing of the builders' painstaking matching to the original bridge to try and make the bridges identical. The old span was drastically changed for the road specification requirements, so the newer bridge ended up with a retro look. The older bridge carries traffic north and the younger south. This bridge is geographically at the center of the Quad Cities area and can be credited with increasing the size of workforce available in businesses in each community.
It did at the time, though, create the longest twin suspension bridge in the United States.
These bridges are also responsible for giving Bettendorf a stronger identity. Both spans were to solve all traffic problems, but in 40 years after the younger was built and 65 after the original, more changes came. In August 1965, the Davenport Bridge Commission agreed to hand over the bridge to the Iowa and Illinois Highway Department when toll revenues could pay back the construction financing. They were eventually handed over on December 31, 1969.
Later, the bridge was incorporated into the National Highway System and became a part of Interstate I-74. Since then, many people have forgotten that it was originally dedicated as the Memorial Bridge, and now most people know it as the I-74 bridge.
One of the consequences facing the bridge today is that it's becoming outdated. There's no funding and no construction will be done until further notice. This bridge can't be expanded because of its suspension design. Because of this flaw, overcrowding and much congestion of the vehicles occur. However, they may be saved if they can be used for alternate modes of transportation. There has been much talk about the construction of a new I-74 bridge built near this one. If it is built, this bridge is likely to be destroyed. However, groups like the Save the Memorial Bridge Committee want to use the bridge creatively. Even if a new Interstate 74 bridge will be built, they'd like to save the bridge and see it become part of the Quad Cities bike trail system. With so many debates that took so many years to even begin building it, much less finish it, why destroy it now? The Memorial Bridge has become a beloved icon of Iowa and Illinois. It's gone through so many failures and reconstructions that it would be a shame to tear them down. With so much we've gained from this bridge, they have become a very successful mode of transportation, and something this good deserves to survive for many years to come. Born almost 25 years apart, these spans are not identical. Built separately and conjoined in the middle, they are a very successful way of travel. They have become part of the pride of Iowa and Illinois. They have triumphed over every debate that has surfaced. The Iowa-Illinois Memorial Bridge. They have had their successes and their failures, taking many years of debate to start the construction and even more years to complete. They are truly wonderful. From persuading Moline to allow the bridge, to finding a way to finance and operate the spans, they've been through everything. They have managed to pull through and triumph over anyone or anything that stood in their way.